Good evening, everybody. Welcome. We're so glad to see you all here tonight. You braved the thunder and the lightning so we're glad you're here. Actually, it stopped thundering and lightning just in time. We have that kind of luck here at Our Lady of Lourdes. Tonight, it's my pleasure to introduce our guest. Sister Dorothy Ederer is a Grand Rapids Dominican sister. She's from a family of 7 children, 5 girls and 2 boys. She does have one brother who's a bi-ritual priest in both Byzantine and Catholic, and all the rest of her family are married. She taught junior high for 13 years, worked as a campus minister for 25 years at 3 different universities. Western Michigan, which is in my favorite Michigan city to say, Kalamazoo. I love that. I love that that's a city. In Ann Arbor and Michigan State in Lansing, Michigan. She worked as co-director for the Joshua Foundation for 9 years with Joseph Girzoni, the author of the Joshua books, and traveled around the world giving talks and retreats. And tonight she's here in Daytona Beach. Woo! She was a chaplain for the Holy Cross, which is a rehab center for women, for 6 years until they closed during COVID, and she's now giving retreats and missions all over the world. She is still writing books, 170 as of now. So, Sister Dorothy, I want to be you when I grow up, okay? All right, with no further ado, I welcome Sister Dorothy.
Right. Thank you for coming. Is those lights, those bright lights, do they have to be on or no? Oh, they won't see me on camera. Okay, because they're kind of blinding for me. But I'll still do fine. Our theme for this evening is humility, hope, and healing. But I will concentrate only on humility tonight. Hope will be tomorrow, and healing will be the last one. Okay, so I thought I'd let you know that. Now we will start out with this opening song. I don't have any sound. Come as you are is a pocket full of rocks. Sorry.
We did the sound check on it and everything.
Thank you all for coming. I'm really grateful that you're here. With a storm that came up earlier, I was thinking, nobody's going to come tonight. It's so stormy. And then I called Father, and he said, yeah, we have storms all the time. Don't worry about it. Just go there. So I said, okay, whoever comes, so. I can share a little bit while we're waiting for it to start. This is not working either. It's a song that tells you to come as you are, no matter how you are, okay? So, and you have come as you are. So I accept you the way you are. We're all God's children, right?
He's not mad at you, and he's not disappointed. His grace is greater still than all of your own choices. He is full of mercy, and he is ever kind. Hear his invitation, his arms are open wide. You can come as you are, with all your broken pieces, all your shameful scars, the pain you hold in your heart. Bring it all to Jesus. You can come as you are, louder than the voice that whispers you're unworthy. Hear the sound of love that tells a different story, shattering your darkness and pushing through the lies. How tenderly he calls you, his arms are open wide. You can come as you are, with all your broken pieces, all your shameful scars, the pain you hold in your heart. You bring it all to Jesus. You can come as you You can come as you You can come as you are, with all your broken pieces and all your shameful scars, the pain you hold in your heart. You bring it all to Jesus. You can come as you are.
The donkey is always used as the symbol of humility. He has shown, O mortal, what is good. And that quote from Micah, to act justly, to love tenderly, and to walk humbly with your God. So that's why we use the donkey as a symbol of humility.
One card, two ways to
No.
pay. Choose debit or pay.
Skip to. You can put skip ad. It'll go. I've never had that happen before. I don't know why all of a sudden. Oh,
I didn't think shingles would.
what? I usually click that little thing, move right there, skip where it says skip. It won't let you skip that ad? Oh my gosh. Oh, there it is. okay with this? The song is Humble and Kind.
You know there's a light that glows by the front door. Don't forget the keys under the mat. When childhood stars shine, always stay humble and kind. Go to church 'cause your mama says to. Visit grandpa every chance that you can. It won't be wasted time. Always stay humble and kind. Hold the door, say please, say thank you. Don't steal, don't cheat, don't lie. I know you got mountains to climb, but always stay humble and kind. When the dreams you're dreaming come to you, when the work you put in is realized, let yourself feel the pride, but always stay humble and kind. Don't expect a free ride from no one. Don't hold a grudge or a chip, and here's why. Bitterness keeps you from flying. Always stay humble and kind. Know the difference between sleeping with someone and sleeping with someone you love. I love you ain't no pickup line, so always stay humble and kind. Hold the door, say please, say thank you. Don't steal, don't cheat, and don't lie. I know you got mountains to climb, but always stay humble and kind. When those dreams you're dreaming come to you, when the work you put in is realized, let yourself feel the pride, but always stay humble and kind. When it's hot, eat a root beer popsicle. Shut off the AC and roll the windows down. Let that summer sun shine. Always stay humble and kind. Don't take for granted the love this life gives you. When you get where you're going, don't forget, turn back around. Help the next one in line. Always stay humble and kind.
I skipped a couple slides in between there, where I talk about humility, where the donkey is the gentle animal. And remember, during Mary and Joseph's time, Mary rode a donkey to Bethlehem. Jesus rode a donkey into Jerusalem. So the donkey always was viewed as a symbol of something simple and very caring. And it reminds us to be humble and helping others. And to need, not to be the biggest and the best always, but to really show how kind, and we need someone in, when we see someone in need, to respond to that need and not think we're better because we have more. There's so many people are today looking to us for help, and so that we have to reach out to them. And so humility is honesty and resting in God's love, knowing our gifts are for service and honoring others with a grateful heart. Humility opens the heart to gratitude. It frees the spirit from pride and makes space for God's will to guide us. This is resting in God's love. The children are always drawn to Jesus and want to rest in his love. The next one is rest. Oh. How come? Knowing our gifts are for service. Helping those in need, means to be humble, and honoring others with a grateful heart. Humility means having a gentle, honest view of yourself, not thinking you're better than others, but always but also not putting yourself down. It's an attitude that says, I know I'm not perfect, I'm willing to learn, I respect others, and I don't need to brag. I admit when I am wrong. And this is sometimes very hard for our young people to do today. In a spiritual sense, humility often means recognizing our need for God and being open to his guidance, trusting that our gifts come from him and are meant to serve others. Now I'm going to show you they're not actual pictures of the people that I'm sharing the story, but they're actual incidents that happened when I was teaching junior high. I taught junior high for 13 years. This was my first day on the job, okay? And so I made a practice that I would start the day saying a Lord's Prayer or a prayer, and then I'd end the day with either with the Act of Contrition or the Lord's Prayer. So there was a fight on the playground that day, and so at the end I said, okay, it says, forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us. So I said, is there anybody who want to make peace before we leave school? And this kid that was in trouble had the fight. I didn't point him out. I didn't say anything to him. He just goes, I don't care what anybody says. I'm not forgiving him. That's it. I go, that's your choice. Okay? He leaves school. Him and his mother drive into the next town. They get in an accident. The first thing that comes out of his mouth is, tell him I'm sorry, tell him I'm sorry, tell him I'm sorry. His mother said, what is all this about? Yes, Sister Dorothy, she knows. She gets to the hospital. She calls me up. She goes, what happened in school today? I go, why? She goes, oh, because all my son is saying, tell him I'm sorry, tell him I'm sorry. I go, really? And she said, yeah, we were in an accident. And I go, are you serious? And she said, yeah, but that's all he can say. And I said, then he's truly sorry, I said, that makes me feel better. Well, the next day I get to school, right? I walk in, the kids all come in, oh, don't worry, sister, we're not going to leave unless we tell everybody we're sorry. You know what happened to him. I'm like, okay, I gotcha. Now, 20 years later, I run into this kid. He goes, I just want you to know, I never go to bed unless I'm at peace with my wife, and I tell all my kids, don't you dare leave each other unless you're at peace. I said, oh, that's great. And even the students that I had that year, if I run into them 20 years later, they tell me the same story. It had a powerful impact on them. So that's why he says, to this day, he teaches that. Then, these are students that I had in the 5th and 6th grade. The reason why I'm pointing this out is you see the one kid says Roger and one says Mark, okay? The pastor came up to me and he said, oh, sister, this is my 3rd day there. I want guitar masses. I go, oh, I don't have a guitar. I don't play guitar. Well, you're going to learn how to play guitar and you're going to teach the kids. I go, oh, okay. I'll have to see what I'm going to do here. So I said to my brother, they were in polka bands and they were musicians. I said to John, can I borrow your guitar for a while? Because I have to have guitar masses. He said, what? I said, yeah. He goes, okay, take it. So I take it, and this is how I learned how to play guitar. I watch Glenn Campbell on TV. So I'm strumming with him, trying to figure out how to do this, right? I learned 3 songs, and then I said to the students, does anybody want to learn guitar? 5 of the kids go, yeah, I want it. I go, okay, meet me after school, and I'll teach you how to play guitar. Because Father wants guitar mass. They go, cool. So we have our guitar mass, and Father is very happy. These kids were so good that I don't know if you've ever heard of the Chesney Showboat, but the Chesney Showboat that's in Michigan, what they have is they have movie stars come, and they have all these different actors and musicians come, and then they vote who's number 1, 2, 3, and 4. Well, I thought these kids were really good. I had a drummer, and I had a couple of guitar players, and a keyboard player, and I said, you guys, why don't I enter you in the Chesney Showboat? They go, really? And I go, okay, you're only fifth graders, but they've never had anybody. They're all movie stars. So even if you come in someplace, it's fun. I go, but when you're up there, you smile at everybody. They want you, you have to look happy. You can't look scared. So they get up there, and I'm sitting out in the crowd, and I'm like this, And they're all smiling and playing this song. They came in two. They came in second place. Who came in first place? Pat Boone. You know who Pat Boone is, right? So you get it. So they said, well, we came in second. And I said, yeah. So these two guys never forgot that. Now, they met me 55 years later. Now, the last time I saw them, they were fifth graders, like this. So they knew I was giving a talk in this town nearby where they lived, right? So they heard about it. So they said, so they texted me and they said, Sister Dorothy, you remember us? We were in the fifth grade, your first year teaching, da-da-da-da-da. We want to meet with you. We're going to meet you at this restaurant. Meet us at this restaurant. I'm like, okay. So I get at this restaurant, and I'm standing outside. I thought, now, Dorothy, how are you going to recognize these guys? The last time you saw them, they were like this. Well, this car pulls up. Two guys get out, and they have bouquets of flowers, and they were 6 foot. So I said, that must be them. So they come in, sis! And they come running, they give me a hug. We had a 3.5-hour lunch. Talked and stuff. They, to this day, the guy Mark, my brother passed away a couple months ago. He was at that funeral. They're like my kids. These kids stay in touch, and Roger too. They come to anything that's, if I lost both of my brothers, and they were there. They go, sis, you're like our spiritual mom. Come on, give us a break. I go, you guys, this means so much. And my sister says to me, these kids you taught that many years ago, and they're coming. I go, it's because they felt a connection, like they were part of my family. So, okay, then these two kids broke into school, and they were running. I mean, this is not them, but it was a picture I took, so I be able to show you what happened. And the principal said, two kids broke into school last night, and she said, I'm going to call the cops. And I go, wait a minute. Before you call the cops, let me have first day, and I'll be able to tell if who is guilty. She goes, how do you know? I go, well, my dad always said this. If a person can't look you straight in the eye, they have something to hide. And he always would do that. We'd always tell any guy that wanted to date us, look my dad straight in the eye, whatever you do, And so they'd all laugh. And so anyway, that school, the kids are coming in, and they all go, good morning, sister, good morning, sister. And these two guys go, good morning, sister, good morning. And I'm like, okay, I think I know who did it. So at the end of the school day, I said, the two people that broke into school last night, if you see me after school and tell me the truth, I said, I won't call the cops. I said, the principal wants to call the cops, but I always believe in giving a child a second chance. And I told him that. So if you want to be honest with me, I won't call the cops. It's your choice. After school, they came and they go, Sister, we're the one that we just was going to have some fun and everything, Thank you, our mother would kill us. Like, I know your mother, And they said, thank you for giving us a second chance, but make sure you learn something from this experience. You go, okay, we will, we promise. So then, I tell you, I don't know. Okay, this guy, he was in trouble with one of the teachers, the male teacher, and the male teacher had a hard time dealing with these guys, But I never had a problem for some reason. I had 56 kids in my classroom, right? And I just said, we're here to have fun, we're here to learn, and I'm here for you. And so this kid, the male teacher said, I don't know what to do with him anymore. He said, I'll have him write 1,000 times. I go, no, don't have him write 1,000 times something. I said, I know what? I'll have him go and clean out the convent. We have a little garden in the back. I'll have him go out and clean the garden. And so I said to him, look, your job is to keep the weeds out of this garden. He goes, oh, thanks, sis, you saved my life. And so he cleaned it up. And 2 days later, I went out there and I said, you did a great job. This is great. You got all the weeds out and everything. He says, thanks for giving me this chance. 3 days later, Sister Eileen says to me, I think he's planting marijuana out there. And I go, marijuana? She goes, yeah. So I go out. Now, marijuana plants look a lot like tomato plants, if you don't know that. Okay. I didn't know this, right? So I go out in the garden, and I look, and I go, that little pistol? So I called up my friends they're two cops. And I go, I need your help tonight. Could you come over? I said, I think this kid planted marijuana in our garden. They go, yeah, we'll be right over. So they came over, oh, yeah, that's marijuana, all right. So they pulled it all out and put it in a bag and took it off. The next day, the kid comes, and I don't say anything to him. 2 days later, he comes, sis, somebody was in your garden. I go, well, you're in charge. He goes, no, well, I know, but somebody got in the garden. I go, well, what happened? He goes, I really can't tell you. And I go, you can't tell me what happened? If you're talking about the marijuana, I had the cops come and take it out of here so you wouldn't get in trouble. Oh, my God, you'd say his mother would have killed him, And I said, well, I told you I'm giving you a second chance, but you better not plant marijuana again. And he goes, don't worry, I won't. And he's the one that I wanted to play Jesus before he planted marijuana. We were doing Jesus Christ Superstar. I was doing that skit with the kids, and I said to him, you'd make a great Jesus. And he goes, no, I make a better Judas. Well, now I know why he said I'd make a better Judas. But this is interesting. 20 years later, he's in Chicago sitting at a bar. This guy comes up to him and he said, hey, I need a guy to play this part in this play we're doing. He goes, what? He goes, would you play Jesus? He goes, whoa, wait a minute. He said, this nun had me in the 8th grade and she wanted me to play Jesus. And I told her I'd better Judas. He said, well, your nun probably knew what she was talking about. You got long hair, you have a great spirit about you. He said, she changed me though. He said, I'm a better person because she believed in me and helped me. And he goes, well, then I think you could probably play Jesus. He drives from Chicago all the way to Ann Arbor. He comes to Mass, he goes, sis, wait till you hear this one. And I go, what? He goes, I was asked to play Jesus. I go, oh, are you serious? Are you going to play it? Well, what am I supposed to do now? I said, it's your choice. And he said, have I changed that much? I said, are you still on drugs? He goes, no, I'm clean now. I go, well, maybe that's why he saw Jesus in you. And he goes, oh, thanks a lot, sis. So then, okay. I taught students how to play guitar. I've taught at least 150 students how to play guitar because every school I went to, I taught them how to play guitar. Well, at this school, I had 25 students that were learning how to play guitar, right? So they'd meet after school and I'd practice with them. And I had one room at the end of the hallway which I stored all the guitars in. And so I'm teaching class and I happen to look out the window and I see this guy running with guitars, and I went like this, and then all of a sudden, you know how kids are, they all jumped up and looked out the window, so they saw who it was, and they went like, he stole my guitar, and I'm going to tell I go, okay, wait, don't say anything, don't do anything, I'll get those guitars back. They go, sis, no. I go, just give me a chance, okay? So I call up his mom. After school, I called up his mom, and I said, tell your son I want the guitars back tonight at 8 o'clock or I call the cops. My son would never do anything like that. I go, I know, but just tell him that I called and I want the guitars back at 8 o'clock or I call the cops. Okay, and she hangs up. And the nuns go, Dort, he's not going to bring that guitar back. I go, I'm giving him a chance. 8 o'clock, the doorbell rings. I go, I think he's here. So I go out, the guitars were there and I picked them up. I said, thank you for bringing them back. And I put them in the convent, and he goes, sis, can I talk to you? And I go, sure. So I sat on the front step, and I said, could you explain to me, why did you steal these guitars? Well, I want you to teach my sister how to play guitar so she could play at Mass with you. So I said, oh, so you stole the guitars, and you now want me to teach your sister on a stolen guitar to play at Mass? That doesn't sound very good, does it? I go, no, it doesn't. He goes, oh, and I go, listen, if you want your sister learn how to play guitar, I will teach her how to do it, but I have an extra guitar that she can use. Oh, thanks, sis. That'll mean so much to her. I said, but no more stealing guitars, okay? Okay, out. And I said, I hope you learn your lesson from this one. He was a great kid, though. Okay, this one here. This is not how the classroom looked, but semi, okay? We had a magazine drive in the parish, and whoever got the most magazines, sold the most magazines, because the money went to the school, then they got their room carpeted. And so I said to the students that I had, because they usually gave me the kids that were poor students, and because, oh, Dorothy, she loves them all, no matter, just give her the ones that aren't as smart as our kids, and I'm like, whatever. So I said to the kids, we're going to win, and we're going to get carpet in our room. And they go, yeah, we are. So they were out selling, and they go, sister, I think we're winning. I go, so far we're ahead. So they announced that we were the winners. And they went, yeah, we got the... And the principal saw me. She said, Dorothy, we're not giving the carpet to the 8th graders, your class. I go, what, they won the... No. She said, we're going to give it to the 1st graders. I said, but that's not fair. She said, yeah, but the 1st graders lay on the ground and they're always crawling around on the carpet and stuff like that. They deserve it more. And I go, well, you should have told them that before. That's not fair to the 8th graders. So I said, and I have to tell them? She goes, well, I'm not going to tell them. And so, yeah, right. So I walked in and I said to the 8th graders, I know we won, but we're not getting the carpet. What? And they were, I go, okay, look, let us be Christian. Let's rise above this. They're just 1st graders. Let us be generous and not make a big thing about this. We'll give the carpet to them. Well, the guys go, I don't think it's fair. I don't care. We want carpet in our room. And I go, okay, we can have carpet. We'll work out something. Somehow I'll work out something. So I go on spring break. That's a week. I'm gone. I come back Monday morning. I open up my classroom, and this is what I see. All these different carpet squares together. And I went like, what happened here? So the kids are all coming in. They go, we got carpet. I go, who did this carpet? And they go, why, is they going to get in trouble? I go, no, they're not going to get in trouble. I want to cheer them on. And the kids go, yeah, we want to. 4 guys stood up. I go, you put this carpet in? They go, we were so mad that we didn't get carpet. We went down to all the carpet stores we sold. Sister Dorothy, we wanted to surprise her and get this carpet for him. And all the parishioners that knew me, right? They go, okay, take 5, take 10, whatever. They were starting to sew them together, that was a little too much. So they started taping them together. The janitor let them in so they could get their whole room carpeted. It's very colorful, as you can see. It's a little different than this, but I wanted, and they were so excited. And I said to them, God has blessed you guys. And I said, I appreciate your generosity. I said, that's what it means to be humble, is to really reach out and care for those people and not to be mad and not be upset that the 1st graders got it. You stood up and allowed them to have it, and you're going to get it just the same. So they were excited about that. Okay, then I was working as a chaplain in a rehab center for Holy Cross. Now, I was a campus minister for some number of years, right, 25 years. And this man comes up to me and he said, Sister Dorothy, I need you to be the chaplain in the rehab center. I go, me, a chaplain in a rehab center? I said, but I don't drink, I don't smoke, I've never taken drugs. I don't think I'm the person to do this. But you love people. I go, well, sure, I love people. He goes, all they need is someone to love them. I go, well, that's all I have to do? Teach them about Jesus and love them? Yeah, I'll take that job. He paid me more than I was ever paid in my life. And I'm like, oh, my community's going to love this, right? 4 days a week, I had my weekends free. It was like, so the first day I walk in the class, there's 15 girls sitting there. 4 of them in the front row. They're all tattooed, right? I mean, everybody has tattoos. So I was like, okay, this is interesting. And so the 4 girls go, oh, so you're the nun? I go, yeah. And they go, oh, well, we're atheists. And I go, you can be anything you want to be, honey. I'm here to help you become the best woman God created you to be. Well, good luck. Well, I knew some of them had been married a couple times and living with somebody. So I played, if you're familiar with the Chosen movie. Okay, if you're familiar with the Chosen movie, I chose the woman at the well. So I'm showing the woman at the well, and these girls are crying. And I'm watching them, and I'm like, oops. And so they said, are you showing more of this tomorrow? And I go, yeah. Okay, we'll be back. I'm like, oh, wow, that's great. Okay, so then weeks later, this girl shows up. And she's sitting there, and she comes in, and she goes like this. Oh, so you're the nun. And I go, yeah, you're new. She goes, yeah. And I go, welcome. Well, we'll see about that. And I go, everybody's welcome here. She goes, oh, yeah? Well. And I said, what is that tattoo on your arm? Because I knew, you can recognize some tattoos, but they were thorns. And they were bigger thorns than these. And I said, what's that tattoo? She said, well, I can't tell you. I go, what do you mean you can't tell me? The whole world gets to see it. Why can't you tell me? And unbeknownst to me, all the other girls go, oh, don't worry. You can tell Sister Dorothy anything. She doesn't judge us. She's just here to love us. She goes, oh, yeah, really? Well, I'm going to tell you something, honey. I'm a devil worshiper. I go, well, I'm going to tell you something, honey. He got you here. My God's going to get you out. She goes, you think so? I said, I know so. Well, we'll see about that. But she kept coming to my class. And I kept thinking, well, okay, she's a devil worshiper. She keeps coming to my class. And she was always like this. And then she'd go like this. And then she'd go like this. And so the third week, she comes to my office crying. I want what you have. I want what you have. I said, you can have what I have. Come on and sit down. She just kept crying, and she just unloaded everything. And then she said, do you think you could give me a Bible? I go, yep, got one right here. I pick it out. I said, now, I don't want you to start with the Old Testament. I want you to start with the New Testament. I want you to learn about the man I've been talking about, Jesus. All I'm asking you is one thing, 5 minutes a day, 10, whatever you feel comfortable with. But I'm only asking you this. Just open your heart to Jesus. That's all. Okay? She goes, okay. She leaves. Monday morning, I come back. 3 girls meet me at the door. Oh, my God, she's been reading that Bible all weekend. Where do you see her? I'm like, really? Oh, yeah. So I go and I set it for my class, and she comes walking. She goes, you're changing me. I go, no, I'm not. I said, I ask you to open your heart to Jesus. Don't blame me, honey. Blame him. You're so damn tricky. But that woman, I have never seen anybody change like her. She's in a Bible study to this day. And you saw, to see a person transform with what she looked like and her attitude and what she's like today, it's nothing I've ever experienced in my life. So it paid for me to work there. Then a mother that I got through rehab, and she wanted me to find her a job, and I found her a job. And I said to this, I was going to a different parish for a week. This lady called me up. She said, Sister Dorothy, it's snowing. Will you take me to the parish this weekend? I can't drive. And I go, sure, I'll pick you up. So I take her to this parish, which I hadn't been to in 5 years, right? I go in there, and so we're praying, and at the end of Mass, this man comes up and he said, Sister Dorothy, I need a secretary. And I go, you need a secretary? He says, yeah, you can help me. And I go, okay, how do you want me to help you? Well, he said, can you find somebody? And I go, I have somebody in mind. She's been clean for 2 years, but she's really a good woman, and she's very bright. And he said, well, send her to me. And I said, I also want your wife to interview her, because women know women better than men. Not offense, but she also worked in rehab, so I figured she'd be able to pick up a lot more, right? So he interviews her for an hour and a half. He calls her, he goes, oh my God, she's everything I'm looking for. She's just perfect, she's perfect. I said, did your wife interview her yet? No. I go, well, then have your wife interview her. So she had a 2-hour interview, and she calls me up and she said, Dorothy, she's everything we need. She's perfect. I go, wow. So they got a job. She was able to buy shoes and some clothes for her kids and herself. She buys her daughter a pair of brand new shoes. She goes in the grocery store to get groceries. She comes out, and she sees her daughter without any shoes on. She goes, what the did you do with your shoes? She goes, Mother, see that girl over there? I was there once. And she takes the same size shoe that I do, and I couldn't get in the car without giving her the shoes. I got another pair at home. I know they're old, but so what? At least I got another pair at home. And her mother said, I've raised you well. Thank you for doing that. She says, Mom, you told me to always be kind to people. You know how kids can remind you what you tell them. So, okay. Now, Colors of the Spirit is the first book I wrote. And trust me, I'm going to be honest with you, I didn't want to write a book, okay? I was asked, I was working at Western Michigan University, and Father Joe Grisone, the author of the Joshua books, came to give a talk. I have over 3,000 students coming to Mass. I had 150 musicians. We were on fire. This book changed their lives. I was ordering them all the time. And I had him come and give a talk. And that's a whole long story, but he finally gets there. And he sees us singing and all the energy of all these kids. He said, I've never seen a parish so on fire for God. I go, I'm telling you, these kids are on fire for Jesus. So he gives this talk, and after he signed a book, he said, you got to come and work with me. I said, I can't. He goes, why not? I said, I have 2 contracts. I said, I have a contract with the American bishops. I'm training campus ministers, and I have a contract here. He goes, well, break it. I go, I don't break contracts. He goes, well, I need somebody now. I said, well, hire somebody for 2 years. If you need somebody right away. So people go, oh, Dora, you should. I said, I'm a woman of my word. And when I say I'm going to do something, I do it. And I said, I'm sorry. So 2 years later, my phone rings at 10 o'clock at night. I pick it up. I thought it's one of the college kids. I pick it up and said, hello, your 2 years are up. Come and work with me. I go, what? And he goes, I said, I don't think I'm going to be able to go all the way to New York. Well, could you ask? I said, well, yeah, I could ask. So I go to the prioress, and I said to her, and all our nuns had read all his books. They loved all his books. We were loaded with them in our convent. And I said, Barb, Father Joe wants me to come and work with him and be the co-director of the foundation. She goes, Dorothy, Go with our blessings. Your dream is to preach Jesus around the world. I go, I can go? She goes, yes. I go, oh my gosh. So I called him back and I said, I can come. He goes, great. So I get there and we were traveling all over the world giving talks. And I just couldn't believe it. So the second year there, I was answering the phone and it was his agent. And his agent happens to call and he says, Dorothy, this is Peter Ginsburg. I go, yes. I said, oh, Joe's not here. He said, I don't want to talk to Joe. I want to talk to you. I said, you want to talk to me? What do you want to talk to me about? He said, I want you to write a book. I go, oh no. He said, what are you doing? I said, I'm giving a talk. I'm writing a talk right now. And he said, what's it about? I said, oh, Peter. And he goes, tell me. So I tell him, and he said, Dorothy, put it in a book. I go, no, Joe's the writer. I'm not a writer. He goes, we'll see about that. I go, no, Peter, don't do this to me. I have so much to do. Thanks, Dort. And he hangs up. I don't say anything to Joe. 3 days later, he calls me back. He said, I have a contract with Doubleday. I want your first chapter done by the end of the month and your introduction. I said, Peter, I told you no. Thanks, Dort. Goodbye. Hangs up. I'll be honest with you. I started crying. Joe comes home and he goes, what's the matter? I go, just because I work with you, he thinks I'm supposed to write books. He goes, Dorothy, nobody calls you from Doubleday and asks you to write. That's God telling you to write. I go, why would God want me to write? I don't write. I've never written anything before. Well, you have so much inside of you that God wants revealed. Well, he's laughing up in heaven now with 170 books, right? So anyway, I said to him, okay, I'll try. My sister calls me 2 days later. She said, Dorothy, we just found out Mother has bone cancer. She has 2.5 weeks to 2 months to live. I said, I'm on my way home. So I said, Joe, I tell him, and I said, I got to go home. And he goes, Dorothy, what are you going to do about this book? I go, Joe, right now I could care less about this book. My mother is dying. He said, Dorothy, you don't do this to Doubleday. I said, I'm sorry. My mother's more important than this book. So he calls up Eric Major, the president of Doubleday, and he tells him the story. And Eric says, you tell Dorothy take all the time she needs. She needs to be with her mother, not to worry. Joe said, they never do this. I go, I guess God wants me to write this book. So I go home and I said to Mom, you got to help me. Where you're going, you can help me write this book. And she says, Dorothy, you'll do well. Don't you worry about it. I go, Mom, thanks. I need you to help me. 2.5 weeks, she dies. The funeral's there. I go back home. And I'm telling you, I didn't feel it was me writing that book. I mean, I was just like, I was inspired, I'm writing. Joe said, well, I thought you said you couldn't write. I go, Joe, I don't know. I mean, I'm inspired. I mean, where this is coming from. I said, I think it's my mother helping me. Sure, okay, whatever. And then he kind of made a joke about it. But then what happens is that I'm awarded Best First Time Author, and then I'm on the New York Catholic bestseller list, number 6. Joe said, oh, I can't write, and this is what happened. I go, Joe, that's really not me. I said, I think it's my mom doing this. And he said, your mom is with you, Dorothy, all the time. And I go, I know she is. She's the best mom ever. So then, when I was working in Kalamazoo, we had a school for the blind, and I wanted the college students to adopt a school for a child from the School of the Blind. So I mentioned to the college students, would you like to adopt a kid? It'd be a Big Brother, Big Sister program. And Jack Harbaugh, the Harbaughs in Michigan, coach and stuff, he was our coach at that time. And he says, keep my wife busy. So I said, Jackie, would you help me on this? So I went over to Greg Matthews. He was a pro golfer, but he lost his sight. He had been blind for 28 years. 6 years later, he had a leg amputated, but he always kept on golfing. If you're a golfer, he got 86 for 18 holes. Now, I'm a golfer, and that's good, okay? So he said something about, Dorothy, I'm here for you, whatever you want. So the kids went cross-country skiing and everything. So I'm in New York, and she calls me, and she said, Dorothy, I need to tell you this. My husband passed away, but this is what happened. We're all standing around him in the hospital. And she said, Greg looks at all of us and he said, I want to say goodbye to all of you. And he pulls his oxygen mask off, and his eyes, the film in his eyes lifted. His eyes were as blue as the sky. He saw them all for the first time in 28 years. And he said to his wife, you have that beautiful royal blue top on. And his daughter, he told everybody what they had on. He said, now will you go all hug me and kiss me goodbye? And he dies. And she said, Dorothy, it's a miracle. I go, okay, I think that might have to be in a golf book, because I was at that weekend, I was at a golf outing to raise money for the poor, and Jack Nicklaus was there, and Tom Hartman, who I did TV shows down in and down in New York. He said, Dorothy, I said, I'm gonna get a little plaque or something for the loser. So I took Psalm 139, oh God, you probe me, you know me, and I made it up for a golfer. You know when I duff and when I divot, you understand my place from afar, and I kind of made it up for a golfer. I framed it, I gave it to him, and he said, oh, I got to show it to Jack Nicklaus. Like, oh, no. He shows it to Jack Nicklaus. Jack Nicklaus says, put this in a book and I'll endorse it. I said, I didn't plan on writing a golf book. Yeah, you're going to write a golf book. So everybody, I'm telling you, you think that's a lot of books? I'm told every time to write by a student or somebody else, this story needs to go, you need to write a book. That's why I wrote all these books, okay? And I'm not done yet. So you see what so anyway, that's how that happened. And he was to be blind for 28 years. Then, we were invited by the professor at the University in New York. Because I was a campus minister, he wanted Father Joe and I to go over as authors. We couldn't go as religious, not to China. As authors, over to China to help them work and organize a program for getting college students to come over here and all that kind of stuff, So I go over there, and that's Zenon standing next to me, and that's her son, and that's Father Joe Grisone. So we're over there, and when I meet Zenon for the first time, I said, they rolled out the red carpet, and she gets out, and I said to Joe, I think this is Zenon who we're supposed to meet. And he said, yes. And she turned around, she goes, are you Dorothy? And I go, yeah. She goes, get over here. And I'm like, okay. So I walked there, and we're talking, and she said, Dorothy, will you teach my girls your philosophy of life? No, she doesn't know I'm a nun, right? And I looked at Joe, and I go, well, I'll bring home about 300 nuns when I'm done here. So she kept saying, Dorothy, help me, because we have so much crime and violence in our school. How can I help that get better? I go, you know what? Teach them to love and teach them to forgive. Because if they love and they forgive, you won't have as many problems. Okay. So she changed the curriculum, which the head guy didn't like that she was changing the curriculum. But in that 1 year, they never had one act of violence or crime or nothing. Never heard of in the history of China. Never heard of. They give her this prestigious award because that year they didn't have anything. And they said, what are you doing? What are you doing that's different? Because they were, suspicious of something, right? But they weren't suspicious of me. In fact, these diplomats here, up in the top there, I'm with Joe Grisone and them, they just kept saying, you got to come and teach our girls your philosophy of life. We want you to come back here and teach our girls. And I said, okay, I'll think about that. I didn't know how to respond to all this. It was making me a little nervous. And then they said at lunchtime, Dorothy, why don't you go out and teach, play with the children? I said, I'll teach them an American dance. So I went out and I said, do you guys want to learn to dance? They go, yes. So there's this big area like this. And I said, we're going to do the electric slide. So I start showing them, and they're just like having fun, and they said, this is great. And the head guy that you see at the bottom there with me dancing, he comes over and he goes, we don't really do stuff like that around here. I go, you should do it. The kids will love it. He goes, no, I don't think so. I go, I guarantee you, they'll be so excited that you are dancing with them, they'll cheer you on. He goes, I don't think so. And I go, come on. He goes, okay. So he says, this is fun. And he's kind of like dancing, and I was dancing with him. And the kids started cheering him on. And they're going, yes. And they kept calling his name and clapping. He got done, he looked at me, he goes, I've never been appreciated this much ever. I go, see what I mean? They love it when you're yourself. Just be yourself with these kids. Let them know that you love what they love. He goes, I've never done anything like this. And then Zenon sees me the next day. She says, how did you get him out there to dance, Dorothy? I go, I invited him. She goes, I don't believe you. I go, yeah, I told him you'd come out and dance. She goes, the kids are so excited. They went and they all came running to school and telling me what happened. And I said, when we let our barriers down and we don't act like we're above everything, like I'm the teacher and if we just act like we're one of them, they come down and they become friends with us. So that's how that ends. To make a long story short, Zenon, she got in trouble because she took the Joshua book and she translated it into Chinese. She told me, this is young Confucius. I go, well, we don't really think of it that way, but, I didn't want to tell her, no, it's Jesus, right? She said, well, I'm going to translate it into Chinese. I said, okay. She translates into Chinese. I invite her over for the National Prayer Breakfast in Washington, because we used to go to that, and I knew Doug Cole. So I said, Doug Cole, can we get her to come? He goes, yeah, get her to come here. And I said, she can stay with me when she comes. He said, okay. So she comes over and she says, Dorothy, I dreamt about God last night. And I go, yeah. And she goes, Dorothy, those books are really selling. We sold thousands of them. And I go, you did? And I'm kind of thinking, ooh, where did they find out it's Jesus, right? Well, a year and a half later, somebody found out it was about Jesus, and it wasn't about Confucius. They were going to electrocute her. Well, they said they were going to kill her, and they were going to kill her and put her electrocute. And so she calls her son in Canada, and he calls us, and he said, can you save my mom? And so I said, get her over here, we'll find a place for her. So she came over here, and she said, Dorothy, she thought I was married, because we went over as authors, right? So she said, oh, Joe goes, take her over to your apartment. She said, your apartment? He said, well, yeah, we built her apartment, you know. These nuns today need your apartment. She said, nuns, what? She said, she walks over and she goes, are you a Catholic? And I said, yes, I am. She goes, so he's not your husband? I said, no, he's a priest and I'm a nun. She goes, you're a nun? And she said, oh my gosh. She goes, so you've been a nun all this time? And I go, yeah, I have. And she goes, oh, I thought, oh, okay. I said, you can ask me anything you want. And she said, you can tell me about Jesus then. You know God. I go, yeah, I do. She goes, can I have a Bible? I said, here's this Bible. And I said, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask me. She takes it that night. She gets up in the morning. She goes, Dorothy, what is a Sadducee? I said, well, they're sad, you see, because they don't believe in the resurrection. She goes, good idea, you know. So everything she was asking me, I tried to make it as simple for her to understand. Do you know what I mean? Because it's complicated. So anyway, she got all excited, and to make a long story short, I'm her godmother, and Father Joe's her godfather, and she became a Catholic. But she said to me, I can't be a Catholic yet. And I go, why? She goes, because you must forgive from your heart, and I have not forgiven from my heart. I go, well, Zenon, it takes time. What is it that you can't forgive from your heart? She goes, well, you see, my parents were diplomats, and when the Japanese came over, she said, I was a teenager, and I saw them coming, and I ran and hid behind this tree. And they went and they broke into they lived in a mansion, broke into our house, and she said, I saw them drag my father out and kill my father. My mother, who was pregnant with child, I saw them kill both of them, and my brother. I was the only one left. And I ran to my cousins. I kept running through the woods until I got to my cousins. And I said, and they go, oh my gosh, we got to be careful. We got to hide you. And she said, so I don't know if I've forgiven him yet. And I said, it takes time to forgive. But if you give it over to God and tell him, I want to let them go. It's no longer my problem, it's their problem. And just say, God, forgive them, for they know not what they do. So then the next routine, she goes, okay, I can be a Christian now. I can be a Christian because I forgave from my heart. And then I became her godmother, and Father Joe became her godfather. And she's a wonderful Christian. And I haven't heard from the last couple of years, so I don't know what happened. She went back to China because her son and daughter came over here to study, to get their PhDs and stuff. And so, but yeah, she's just, and that's charity, humility. Where in our lives is God inviting us to step back from pride and step forward in gratitude and service? Some people in the scriptures. Okay, now these are the people who, to me, exemplified humility. When she was told she was going to be the mother of Jesus, I mean, give me a break, right? Wouldn't you be humbled if you were told that you're going to be the mother of Jesus? And then she demonstrated by accepting that role as the mother of Jesus, and she supported and stood by him to the very end, never left him. She was there till the end. Then St. Helena. Now, I learned that St. Helena, who is the mother of the Emperor Constantine, when I was over in the Holy Land, they said that the Church of the Holy Sepulchre and the Church of Nativity, she had that built there. And she's also the one that had found the cross, the Holy Cross. So she's a very spiritual woman. And to be a spiritual woman and build those two churches, knowing that her dad, her son was the emperor of the Roman Empire. I mean, people in Rome and the Jews just didn't click and get along. So she left a legacy by her devotion as humility, and she played a key role in promoting Christianity through the Roman Empire. Oh, Hannah, she prayed to God in the temple with a humble and submissive heart. She wanted to have a child. And so then she gets Samuel, which means God has heard. And then Samuel goes on, and becomes Israel's greatest judge, a great prophet, and a counselor for Israel. Hannah's act of surrender spelled over into years of goodness for her country. So she was thrilled. Now everybody knows Mary Magdalene, right? She is not a prostitute, so get that out of your head. Everybody always had her as a prostitute, but she was possessed by demons, and Jesus cured her of those demons that possessed her. And she was one of the most dedicated followers of Jesus. She followed him there, and her parents lived in Magdala, and I think they must have owned Magdala because she's the one that had so much money to support Jesus in his ministry. So that's why she was there to the end. I mean, he appears to her when he raises from the dead, he appears to her. So you know that they've been really close friends all along. And I find it interesting, he appears to a woman when there's all these 12 apostles, right? I just find that very interesting. Now, this is my favorite story, the woman at the well. Okay, so Jesus and the apostles left Judea, and they went back to Galilee. And they stopped in this little town called Sychar, which is where the Jacob's well was, okay? So they sat down and were relaxing, and Jesus said, I'm tired from this journey. And the apostles said, we're going in to get some provisions. So they go into town, and the woman at the well comes, it's around noon, and she comes to the well, and she dips her bucket in and gets some water. And Jesus said, could you give me a drink? She goes, we don't have a bucket, and this well is very deep. She says, let me give you some of mine. So she pours out and gives Jesus every bit of her water. So there's none left. He takes it and he said, with this water, you'll be thirsty again. But the water I give, you'll never be thirsty again. In fact, the water I give will be like a fountain within you, springing up to give you life. She goes, well, where did I get this water? And I won't have to keep coming to the well every day. He says to her, hands her bucket back. She goes, what do you mean? She goes, oh my gosh, this is great. I can't believe this. She says, I can't wait to tell everybody I got this living water. I now have to keep coming back to the well every day. And he said, yes. So she's standing there, and all of a sudden, she says, oh, this is great. I can't wait to tell everybody. And then Jesus says, go get your husband. She goes, oh, I don't have a husband. He goes, you're right in having a husband. You have 5, and the man you're living with right now is not your husband. She goes, well, you know, they said when the prophet comes, he'd be able to tell us everything about ourselves. I wonder if, he said, I am he who is speaking to you. She goes, oh, you're kidding. She goes, oh my gosh, I can't wait to go back and tell everybody. I met this man at the well who told me everything about myself. And so she goes running back into Samaria, and she says, I met this man at the well who told us everything about ourselves, and he knows all of us. He's here, that's the Messiah, it's the Messiah. And they went like, great. So they all got excited. And she brought more people to Jesus than we could imagine. That's my favorite woman. Jesus tells her he's the Messiah before he even told the apostles. Another woman he tells, right? Interesting. Okay, now Moses, you know, the Pharaoh of Egypt, ordered all newborn. I think, I have to go a little bit faster. I might have to cut out some things. Well, you know the story about the Pharaoh's daughter, right? Moses put her in the basket, and the baby was adopted by the Pharaoh's wife, in the palace. And they were the prophet and leaders who guided the Israelites out of slavery. So Moses then took over. And then he's the one that gave us the 10 Commandments, which we all know. Then King Nebuchadnezzar, the king's story is in the book of Daniel, shows him being humbled by God. He had dreams and stuff, and the only person that could interpret his dreams was Daniel. So he said, okay, then you just interpret all the dreams. And so he did that. And that's how he became very prophetic, and he interpreted everything, so then he was very close to him and saved him. Joseph's story in Genesis is how parental favoritism and jealousy can fracture a family. You know Joseph and his amazing Technicolor coats, how Joseph favored him and got him that wonderful little coat, jacket. But the guys were jealous, and they sold him into slavery. And then later on, Joseph forgives his brothers, and he demonstrates humility by forgiving his brothers by selling him into slavery, eventually using his position of power in Egypt to save them during the famine. Then the Pharisee and the tax collector, we all know this. The Pharisees, I'm glad I'm not like him, you know. Sometimes I see some Pharisees today, they're all about the rules, and they're not about caring for people. And I noticed this when I came to your parish. That little thing in that little about what your parish symbolizes or stands for, that's what Jesus would stand for. That all are welcome here. And that and just how your pastor is. I'm deeply impressed with how he responds to people, and he's joyful. He's happy, you know. And I mean, I used to run around when I was a campus minister. I'd go around and up and down the aisles before Mass started, and I would say to the college, some of the guys, I'd say, your mother be proud of you. You know, the guys in the fraternities, I'd say, your mom be proud of you. They go, thanks, sis. You know, and I'd acknowledge the students, you know, when they come in, I'd welcome them and stuff. And a lot of them never felt welcomed. And when I left there, the fraternity boys said, sis, we're going to miss you, but thank you for making us feel welcome. We came to church because you knew you cared about us. I go, God cares about you too. Yeah, but, you know, you can tell our mom we came. So, you know, they like that when it's Parents' Day. Parents come in, and this guy that was on the basketball team, he was 6'11", and he'd always have to duck in to come into church. And when he stood, you know, you'd always see where he was. And so she says, does my son come to church? I go, oh, honey, I can't miss him. He stands above the crowd. Oh, it's so good to hear, you know. And I said, oh, don't worry. Your kids, and even my nephew, he says, don't forget to tell Dad I go to church, you know. He'll want to know if I do. I said, don't worry, I'm not going to check on you all the time, but I'll let your dad know. Now, King David, Abigail's husband, Nabal, was a wealthy sheepholder. And had King David, before he became king, he was working for him. And he worked all day, and then he wanted some food to eat. And he went to them and asked them for food, and he didn't want to give them any food. He goes, no, you're not getting any food. Well, David got upset. So David says, I'm going to take care of him. So he wanted to kill him. And his wife, he went and told his wife that he said, I'm going to kill your husband. She said, no, don't. So she goes and gets food. She loaded her donkeys with hundreds of loaves of bread, prepared the sheep, got grain, raisins, all figs. She humbled herself before David, and she wrote out, told him, just please don't kill my husband. Just save him. I don't want our household to be all killed. So he does. David praises Abigail for her wisdom and for stopping him from committing this murder. So then she gets home, and her husband is drunk as always. And that morning he had a heart attack and died. And then she ends up marrying David. You know, he had many wives. It's a man after God's own heart. Now, you know Ruth and Naomi, and she's who committed herself to the Israelite people by an oath to her mother-in-law Naomi and became a great-grandmother of David by marriage to Boaz of Bethlehem. She's the ancestor in the Masonic line and leads to Jesus. Her sister-in-law returned to her own people after her husband died, and Ruth's humility was shown through her loyalty to her mother-in-law, Naomi, and her courageous act of gleaning in the fields to provide for them. Wherever you go, I will go. Wherever you stay, I will stay. Your people will be my people, and your God will be my God too. And that's her with her mother-in-law. Esther, I think I have to stop. It's 7:02. Well, you know Esther and then John the Baptist. How did that go? Okay, well, you know Esther, how she saved her people, the Jewish people, because she was married to that king who wanted to, but was Haman who wanted to kill all the Jewish people. And he did not know when he married her that she was Jewish. And she didn't tell him until it was time when they were going to kill all the Jews. And she said, if I have to die, if I perish, I perish, but I'm not going to lie. These are my people. And because she was open to him, he saved them. And they didn't kill all the Jewish people. But Haman, who wanted to, absolutely, Mordecai, her uncle, who took care of her, said, you know, this guy's got to go. And so Haman wanted him to be hung, Mordecai, her uncle, but instead he was hung. And then you know the story of John the Baptist, so I don't think, and a friend of mine says, I said, who ever heard of eating locusts and wild honey? He goes, well, I do, I've had it. And I go, you do? He said, yeah, it's really good, it's very healthy for you. I go, okay, well, I've never heard of anybody eating that before. And he's my hairdresser, so I don't know what happened here. Okay, wait a minute. What's happening? Well, I don't think I'm after. Sorry, excuse me, I'm sorry. Why don't we just go to the closing song then? You know, because you know the Beatitudes, you know all the Beatitudes. So, and the Beatitudes to me is what we really, and well, Jesus, his entire life is presented as an example of humility. I mean, of anybody who gave himself for us, to me is awesome. And then he gave us the Beatitudes, and to me, this is what we are to live today. The 10 Commandments are fine, but if you totally love, you're following the 10 Commandments. You're only going to be judged on one thing in the end. Did you love? And if you loved, you followed all the 10 Commandments. Because kids get worried. I don't know if I followed every one of them. Sometimes I don't honor my parents, and I said, do you love your parents? Well, yeah, I do, but sometimes I'm not the best person. I said, well, ask for forgiveness and continue to love. And so that's an explanation of all of them, and humility prayer. Lord, teach us to walk gently with you. Help me to see my gifts as blessings, to serve others with love, and to live each day with a grateful heart. And we end with this song, Go Light Your World. Thank you for coming as we...
There is a candle in every soul, some brightly burning, some dark and cold. There is a spirit who brings a fire, ignites a candle, and makes his home. So carry your candle, run to the darkness, seek out the hopeless, confused and torn, and hold out your candle for all to see it. Take your candle and go light your world. Take your candle and go light your world. Frustrated brother, see how he's trying to light his own candle some other way. See now your sister, she's been robbed and lied to, still holds a candle without a flame. So carry your candle, run to the darkness, seek out the lonely, the tired and worn. Hold out your candle for all to see it. Take your candle and go light your world. Take your candle and go light your world. 'Cause we are a family whose hearts are blazing. So let's raise our candles and light up the sky, praying to our Father in the name of Jesus. Make us a beacon in darkest times. So carry your candle, run to the darkness, seek out the helpless, deceived and poor. Hold out your candle
I'm not going to take my candle and go light this world. I'm selling some of my books. I didn't bring all my books. I just brought a few of them. I didn't bring any children's books. I have quite a few children's books. But if you want to, two of the women are back there selling books. If you want to help my community, that helps my sisters with that. And I thank you all for being here tonight. You are a wonderful audience. I appreciate you. I'm sorry it went a little late, but we started a little late too, okay?